The Terrifying Cult of Scientology by Oompaville. He's kind of an interesting guy. There's actually there's an interesting kind of notion in content making, or maybe just media as well, that there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot between the notion of being sincere but not taking yourself too seriously. And I feel like Oompaville does a good job of that, although he maybe leans a little bit more towards, a lot of jokes in his content. But like, there's an element there where there's a balance to be struck between those two things if you want to make good content, I think.
So let's start with a simple question. What exactly is Scientology? On paper, it's a religion founded by L. Ron Hubbard in 1953, offering a path to...
I literally thought this was like Elrond. Like, I thought that was like one word. No, it's L. Ron Hubbard. Goodness gracious.
Greater self-awareness and spiritual enlightenment through a process...
Okay. So, I'm thinking in Mentalist it was. They kind of had a religion, I forget what it was called, Visualize or something, that was kind of in the same vein as this. I'm pretty sure it was kind of supposed to be an allegory for Scientology a little bit. And that TV show there was
called auditing. But the reality of what Scientology is far more complex.
Although to be fair, I mean, most cults kind of follow stereotypical behavior. There's kind of a pattern to it, if you will. Generally, you have charismatic leaders, you have isolation, you have interesting notions that aren't exactly mainstream. There's a recipe to creating a cult a little bit.
And disturbing, puckering, I would say. What would you say, little boy? Just kidding. The Holy Relic has his own camera now. Isn't this awesome?
Sorry.
Before becoming a religious leader, L. Ron Hubbard made his name writing pulp science fiction. What is pulp science fiction? I don't know. But is there a pulp-free version? Cut that out. Throughout the 1930s and 40s, he cranked out hundreds of stories for magazines like Astounding Science Fiction, scraping by as a moderate...
It's a weird way for a person to get their
successful
start.
Genre writer. He was kind of the Hitler of pulp science fiction writers. Big failure, to be honest, barely scraping by. This background as a pulpy science fiction writer becomes particularly interesting when you consider that Scientology's core beliefs involve ancient aliens, yes sir, galactic confederacies and souls that have existed for trillions of years. I love aliens, by the way, and I'm not a Scientologist yet. We'll wait to the end of the video to decide whether or not I'm gonna become one, all right guys? We'll leave it up to you. If this video gets 100,000 likes, I will become a Scientologist. Guys, we'll leave it up to you. If this video gets 100,000 likes, I will become...
Please be patient.
It's f***ed up. This whole...
It's like one of the most annoying characteristics of very fanatical like strains of either religions or cults or whatever is that a belief that one has a monopoly on the truth, I guess. That we have the truth is the type of cyclical, like, no, we're the ones who have the answers, and refusal to talk to people outside of their group, outside of their circle.
Story. It's very tough. For a bit more context on L. Ron Hubbard, there's a quote that actually haunted him for decades. According to several of his contemporaries, Hubbard once declared at a science fiction gathering, a fucking nerd party, "You don't get rich writing science fiction. If you want to get rich, you start a religion."
That's kind of an own goal there. Probably quite true. Well, I'm saying I think you can get rich writing science fiction, but yeah, religious people. I mean, there's a lot of people who do that.
I'm gonna write that one down. Of course, the church vehemently denies he ever said this because it would erode their legitimacy quite heavily. Yet, multiple witnesses, including science fiction writer Theodore Sturgeon, my favorite, have sworn to hearing similar statements from Hubbard at various nerd parties. The transition for L. Ron Hubbard from...
Oh, and that's one of the things. It feels like cult leaders I don't know. I think sometimes they're huffing their own smoke, but I think it could be that quite often they are shysters. Like there are people who don't believe the stuff they're preaching, but they need other people to believe it. So hey, yeah, let's get them to believe it with all their heart and soul and mind. But like they have to be able to control it. They can't huff their own smoke there.
Fiction writer to religious founder wasn't exactly immediate. In 1950, Hubbard published Dianetics, the modern science of mental health, and marketed it as a revolutionary self-help system. It is a book that promises to cure physical ailments, increase intelligence, and eliminate unwanted emotions, like constipation, for example.
I'm going to quote something from one of my teachers in Bible school, so take it for what it's worth. But there's, I don't know if it's actually original with him, but there's this notion that every characteristic, if expressed in immaturity, can be bad. I don't like the notion of trying to exercise different parts of who you are as a person. I think every part of who you are as a person, every characteristic, every emotion, all of it can be useful if you learn to use it right, if you learn to control it, etc., etc. So like the notion of like no that part of you is bad. Just like, no, it's like don't. I wouldn't want to just snap my fingers and get rid of like a part of who I am as a person. But I would like to learn how to control myself better. I would like to learn how to do that better, so to be a better person. So like again, the notion of like get rid of unwanted, like no, don't get rid of unwanted emotions. Just learn to control those emotions. They're not like innately bad. I don't think.
Flocked to Dianetics. People were
Put it this way, I tend to think God created you exactly as He intended you to be. So like the notion of just you get rid of all of the bad feel, like no, you're exactly as you're intended to be. Just learn to control yourself. Learn to use what you have in a good way to turn it to good ends or whatever.
very stupid in the 1950s. It became an instant bestseller, and Hubbard quickly established foundations across the country. Now, why? Sure, it promises.
Yeah, and that's the notion, the promise of blank. People fall for that a lot, and it's I think it's a very nefarious thing to do, to prey on people's hope or dreams, right? To give them false hope of something that is a dastardly act, in my opinion.
All these epic things, but what exactly drew people in? The promise of self-improvement without doctors or psychiatrists. That's what drew people in. By the way, L. Ron Hubbard despised both of those professions fairly openly, doctors and
To be fair, I'm not overly fond of psychiatrists myself, but I don't know if I would. I don't despise necessarily the profession. I just hate the notion of people trying to figure me out to the nth degree, and just no, there's a weird like psychological trick to this, where it feels like the notion of a person understanding everything you're going to do and predicting it, like it feels like it puts you kind of in a box almost, and like on a psychological level, it feels like it's almost a threat to your free will that someone can predict exactly what you're going to do. I think we don't like it. We intuitively do not like it when people can figure us out exactly. Yeah, I guess maybe that's why I don't really like psychologists that much.
psychiatrists. That becomes a cornerstone you'll learn more about. When the initial
Psychiatrist, psychologist. I wonder if there's a difference.
craze and virality of Dianetics in the 1950s began to fade,
I mean, I guess I don't know.
and the organization faced some financial troubles, Hubbard made a pivotal move. In 1953, he repackaged his science fiction ideas as the Church of Scientology, adding religious elements to his teachings.
That feels like a weird pivot. Like if you're literally like initially marketing these things as science fiction, well, I guess I don't know exactly what the transition. Maybe it was just the notions, like the overlying themes or whatever. But it feels like
wasn't just philosophical.
It feels like it'd be hard to get people to take that seriously, at least if they were recognizable parts of the books, maybe. It'd be like, okay, isn't this kind of a joke that you put inside your science fiction, like a trope or something like that? Like, why are you preaching this as some sort of gospel?
Shift either. It was a very strategic shift. Notice how my preface was when the virality of Dianetics started to fade and the organization faced financial troubles. This began crazy. You see, my friends, religious organizations enjoy significant legal protections and tax benefits.
Crazy, man. Feels sorry, I'm getting distracted by this thingy here. It's pretty cool, actually.
That self-help groups or honest people just don't get. This guy Ron's a fucking genius or whatever. So what is the appeal exactly? What does Scientology offer that attracts so many followers and has for such a long time, in spite of it just being a made-up science fiction work of nonsense?
You know what's weird? For the longest time, I literally thought this guy's hair was blonde, and then one time I seen him without his hat. I think it's black or, oh, I guess at least brownish. I think it's because his beard or his mustache maybe looks a certain way. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
Was built to extract money from people. The main attracting pitch for Scientology is that it offers you a precise scientific method to free you from emotional pain.
Okay, what's with this? What? Like, is there something weird with the script, or is this something goofy with his thing? Supreme Being. There have never been scholarly studies of Scientology, and the books are freely available in bookshops, churches, and most libraries.
Boost your abilities and reveal your true potential.
Level up.
This is unlike traditional religions where you ask for faith in unseen gods. Scientology presents itself as practical technology
I feel like atheists would love this.
That can deliver measurable results.
There's a weird. I've actually heard this. The notion I had growing up, maybe at least I say growing up. Whenever I had heard of it, like Jim Jones and whatever that like the Jonestown massacre or whatever, where a whole bunch of people committed suicide. That guy was not actually a Christian. I think at one point he was a Christian, but he had kind of turned atheist and then kind of cult leader. I don't know if he ever changed his beliefs on that, but it was a weird type of religion going on there. But he wasn't a Christian. He's not when the weird shit happened. You have to look that up. I would have gotten the idea that he was actually an atheist at that point in time.
Don't believe us, they say. Try it for yourself.
Atheists are racking up. I'm going to stop. No, I'm not going to stop racking up. Atheists are racking up the points. They have Jeffrey Dahmer. They have Jim Jones. They have Stalin. Mao Zedong. Was Paul Pot in that category too? I don't know.
And get your money back, guaranteed. They don't
Interesting
actually say
characters.
that. New members of Scientology typically start with basic courses focused on communication skills, things like how to smile properly and how to wave. Improper, proper. Note the eyes. I smile with my eyes. Waving as well. Here's an example. Newbies also focus on study methods and introductory.
Here's a question. Okay. My mind was going to the notion of Freemasons, which is kind of the same thing, where it starts out like ostensibly it's just a really easy thing. But I was thinking of the notion of Shriners. Last night on one of a Columbo episode, I was hearing about Shriners. I'm going to guess that's another secret society. I'd have to look that up sometime. I'm looking it up now, but I'll have to go on a research tour with you guys. Shriners. International fraternity organization for men based on Masonic principles. Okay. So maybe they're associated with the Masons, the Freemasons.
Auditing, which is a form of counseling that uses an e-meter device that supposedly measures emotional reactions, aka fucking nonsense. One thing that's sort of annoying about all this.
No, that is definitely a thing, because I remember on Mentalist, they literally had a thing where they took Jane in and they were doing that to him. They were literally having this weird device that they hooked him up to, and he was I am 90% sure that was some sort of allegory for Scientology.
Is that this stuff actually kind of works. The initial experiences genuinely can help people feel better, because when you have someone listen to your problems and promise you solutions, it's very powerful. Normally, professionals just listen to your problems. They don't promise you solutions. They try to find a solution.
That's kind of funny. If you
solution with you. Scientology just cuts out that evidence-based approach and says, you are a trillion-year-old spirit. Nuclear bombs and volcanoes were in your past. give me money, give me money. To the vulnerable and people who don't feel
like it's kind of a red. Yeah, I keep using the word red flag too much. It's kind of a gradient marker of like a snake oil salesman, where like, hey, yeah, yes, I'm going to give you all this stuff, but now you have to, yeah, give me money. Generally, when there's money involved, and bells and whistles should be going off.
exactly fulfilled and or maybe feeling lost, this is powerful. Also, the early stages in general of Scientology are not particularly outlandish. They're pretty cool and kind of normal. You see, it's only as members progress up to the bridge to total freedom, is what it's called, as they invest more time.
Yeah, I just hate the notion. It feels like the whole like corny, etheric names to stuff is just a really stupid like trope. I don't know. That should set off some alarm bells in your head, right? That should set off some.
And more money, they are gradually introduced to more controversial cosmological beliefs, including the story of Xenu.
And pedo shit. No, that's more of a world cabal type of thing.
My grandmother's dog. Wait, no. What?
According to Alex Jones. For the record, I don't actually watch Alex Jones, but yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around like pedo cults in like higher realms of authority and whatnot.
That was Xena. It was Xena. It wasn't Xenu. For some reason in my head.
Well, here's my problem. Like, sorry to interrupt him again. I tend to think that anything that is like sin is kind of dysfunctional by nature. So any type of world cabal that doesn't, maintain some sort of moral order, anything that would be like super hedonistic, would not be maintainable over any type of length of time. So I tend to think it either has to be functional and consequently to some extent moral or something like that. But like the whole notion of like a pedo cult, like, yeah, how would those people stay on the same page with each other? Like that feels a little bit, just the teeniest bit far-fetched in my mind.
My grandmother's dog. Wait, no, that was Xena. It was Xena. It wasn't Xenu. For some reason in my head, I was like, my grandmother might be a Scientologist. Xenu is the galactic overlord who allegedly brought billions of his people to Earth 75 million years ago, and then fucking killed them using hydrogen bombs
based
in volcanoes. That is real. That is not a misrepresentation of the core belief of Scientology. That is real. It also took quite a while for Scientology to actually achieve.
Wait, is real?
A religious status. Throughout the 50s and 60s, Hubbard fought lengthy legal battles around the world to secure religious recognition, and in the United States, the organization waged war against the IRS for decades before finally gaining its tax-exempt status in 1993, under some mysterious circumstances that we'll explore later. Let's just say I'm waiting on my tax-exempt status too. Just kidding, I'm not, because that alludes to me doing something horrible and evil. I'm not doing that. Across Europe, in countries like Germany, France, and Belgium, Scientology continues to face official skepticism, governmental skepticism, often classified as a business or potential threat rather than religion, which to me makes a lot of sense. But one fascinating aspect of Scientology's history is its hostility towards splinter.
It feels like there are certain religions that, I don't know, are almost innately a little bit subversive. Like he does one on Mormonism actually, which like you look back into their history, they were like full on theocratic. I know the Mormons today are pretty nice, generally speaking, and they've ostracized a lot of the unfortunate doctrines that would have led them to believe some of this stuff. Like they would have eliminated them or hidden them or burned them up or something. So like I would say the core doctrines today are not necessarily super, they're kind of benign. Back in the day, they were like full on theocratic. We're going to take over the US at some point. And there was stuff like there are sins that are too evil to forgive. So there was a thing where like literally you could just kill a person because they committed something so bad or something like that. Like you have to go look it up. Like it's by the same guy, Oompaville. He does one on Mormonism. Really interesting stuff. Some really messed up stuff.
Groups or denominations. Most religions have some kind of denomination or offshoot, some kind of friend church or something. What are ye? Baptist? No, I'm Wesleyan. Whatever that is. Is that a thing? I think that's a thing. Scientology is not so friendly. They attack anyone practicing its trademark techniques outside of the official organization. Independent practitioners.
That feels weird too. Like trademark. What the what?
Known collectively as
like a church with intellectual property. That is a strange sort of phenomenon.
the free zone, get litigated against frequently. They get frequently. They also get harassed and are labeled as squirrels, which is a pretty bad insult in Scientology, apparently. So we raise a few important questions here. If Scientology
You look that one up. Squirrel insult. Scientology. I think you'd have to specify Scientology. Hmm. All right. We'll go to Reddit. An infallible indicator of truth. All right. Derogatory context. Do you personally feel the labels attached to you? Blah 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 blah. Squirrel, depending on blah 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 blah. Oh, squirrel is a Scientological term coined by L. Ron Hubbard, who always aggravated by his environment between packs of cigarettes he smoked each day for his health. In plain English, a squirrel refers to a rodent. Outside the churches, I've applied tech to people outside the church's jurisdiction with lasting good results. Huh. I don't know what it means. Never mind.
Scientology truly offers a path to spiritual freedom, why does it require a ruthlessly maintained monopoly on its practices? Strange. You can't be spiritual and also...
I like the notion that the truth is kind of for everyone, right? It's a good idea for everyone. It's beneficial for everyone. There's a universalism to the truth. So it's just like, no, you can't use it unless, like, I don't know about that. That's the one thing that maybe should be free. The truth should be free. Okay.
Have a proprietary good that you sell. Anyways, this naturally leads us to the cult question. I said the word cult just a moment ago. What makes something a cult rather than a religion? Comment down below. Or not. You're not going to win anything. Scholar.
I think there's something to the notion of like the nature of the deity involved, where like quite often, I guess it feels like quite often cults will have a very human deity who's like, I don't know. And I guess the dependence of that is like whether or not their deity is actually a deity.
First, typically point to several key factors. A, charismatic leadership.
Never mind. We'll let him.
B, isolation from society. C, control of information. D, financial exploitation. And the one after D, psychological manipulation.
I would maybe say that if I had to put a finger on it, I would say the isolation is probably one of the most important markers. Like to me, that would be like the most like the most damning evidence.
That's not even a joke. I forgot about E entirely. I started to panic too. Surely, most religions exhibit some of these traits to varying degrees, but cults embody them.
To be fair, the psychological manipulation probably also pretty bad. But every movement pretty much has a charismatic leader. So like I don't know if that's much getting away from that. It's like the person with the ideas, the person who can speak really well. Like obviously they're going to develop a following. So I don't know if that's. But yeah, the psychological manipulation and isolation, that I think would be like the most like cut and dried markers of it.
To a more extreme and systematic.
Comment down below.
The institution of Scientology is completely emboldened by all of these things, and then slaps a trademark on it. And if you stray from that path, sued, lawsuit, boom! I'm gonna hit you with a fucking lawsuit, you little fucker. You. Just kidding. Praise be. Let's take the charismatic leader aspect as our first example. Most major religions were indeed founded by fairly charismatic people. Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. But these faiths evolved beyond total devotion to their leaders. In
So,
Scientology, Hubbard
I don't know
remained.
if that. I guess it's true to say like they're not like maybe like as fanatical as some cults would be, and like they're a little bit more chill, generally speaking. Like religions tend to be a little bit more sustainable. That's because they've lasted for a long time. So the fanatical strains probably burn themselves out pretty quickly, and the cooler heads take over as a general rule. Like they're more mainstream, I guess. That would be the idea. But like obviously in Christianity, the devotion is still to Jesus, right? So it's that part hasn't changed. But there's something to also be said for the fact that like there was kind of a cutoff point to divine revelation, where at this point the characteristics of Christianity are kind of to some extent set in stone, where there's not going to be some sort of, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, there won't be some sort of huge upheaval and some crazy strain of Christianity will come along and fiddle with stuff.
As the absolute authority, and his words are considered source and cannot be altered or questioned, even decades after his death. Rip, old boy. Shouldn't have been so spiritual and awesome. Maybe you would have lived a little bit longer. The control of the flow of information tells an entire.
Let's see, like, how old was Elron? Elron. It's still, like, it's phonetically, it sounds exactly like he's saying Elrond, like Lord of the Rings Elrond. L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard. Huh. So it wasn't like a super short life. He was born in 1911, died in 1986. So what's that? 70 years? But I guess maybe in his religion he was supposed to live a lot longer. I was under the impression that somehow he lived a very short life. No, that's pretty decent, honestly. Like 70, 74, 75 years, something like that.
Entirely different story for Scientology. Mainstream religions generally make their core teachings freely available to anyone interested. You can read it online, you can read the Bible online, the Quran, the Buddhist
It is something
Sutra.
that's maybe also a little bit of a dubious sign. Like if people are like the Freemasons and stuff like that, it's a little bit in the same thing. Do the Templars still exist? I think they still exist a little bit. There's something about that notion that yeah, we're going to keep all of our teachings secret.
All without paying a dime.
Doesn't
And
sit
before
right.
the internet, you could just go to a church or a whatever, you know. What is it called? A mosque? That's right. Or a Buddhist one?
Synagogue.
A temple, I think. You could get them teachings for free, is what you could. But
dude, one crazy, like, I think a lot of people maybe sometimes get the wrong idea about the Talmud. Like, I think the notion of the Talmud is that it's actually just a collection of commentaries on the Torah by rabbis or whatever. It's not exactly holy writ, as I understand it. But that thing is like freakishly long, I think. I'm not sure exactly how long, but like there's a lot of like, I mean, they had a long time to talk about it, so I guess maybe they compiled a lot of. It's like exponentially longer, I think, than the actual like the Torah itself.
by extreme contrast, Scientology reveals its
I
central.
I think, anyways. Yeah, I think the Talmud is way up there in word count.
Cosmological teachings only to members who have paid hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars and also signed strict confidentiality agreements with large legal penalties for disclosure. So join, pay us money, we'll teach you, but you can't say anything about it because that's the only way we'll make money. Took my jacket off. Financial demands also separate cults from religions even further. While most faith traditions...
That's probably true. Well, I mean, more so that financial demands maybe are indicator, like even in Christianity, if you see like prosperity gospel or stuff like that, where there's financial incentives involved, even if it is a religion, you should probably still be, alarm bells should be going off, because there are pastors who do a lot of the stuff even in Christianity. You can see that they're trying to get a lot of stuff from their parishioners.
Encourage donations. They rarely make spiritual progress contingent on specific payment amounts.
And that's probably true. Like it's not like a pay to win type of thing. In which case, in Scientology, it very much seems like it is very much like a pay to win type of
But in Scientology,
mechanic.
advancing through the different levels of the bridge requires increasingly expensive courses and auditing sessions, with total costs potentially reaching millions of dollars per member. So that really isn't a tithing, I wouldn't say, or passing around a collection plate. When L. Ron Hubbard says, "Let me hold a 20," he actually means, give me millions of dollars so I can lie to you, you fucking dumbass. That's what he actually meant, I think. To the defenders of Scientology, it provides a structured path to greater awareness, a supportive community, and techniques to overcome past trauma. All pretty cool, valid things, but to its critics, it offers an initially helpful facade that gradually transitions into a system of control, exploitation, and isolation designed primarily to extract the maximum amount of money and loyalty from its followers. It seems like this is
Yeah.
an unbiased piece, I promise.
Textbook cult behavior.
It's very unbiased. And as we'll discover throughout this exploration of a video, the reality of Scientology is far stranger than most people realize. Things get so fucking deep, so dark, honestly, and they go places unlike most on earth religions, that is. This is Scientology. It's part business, part intelligence agency, all working in lockstep towards goals established by a science fiction writer who discovered that creating a religion was indeed more profitable than.
All right. That's the end. We'll let you guys watch the rest of it if you want to. That's where we'll stop. Yeah, watch out for cults. Watch out for people who try to psychologically manipulate you. Right? Charismatic leaders. I would say the psychological manipulation and the isolation probably the best markers. Yeah, go check that out if you want to.